Over the past decade, we've certainly seen a lot of failures when it comes to DC movies. That's the reason James Gunn was brought in, that he's going to reboot the universe, and who knows if that's going to be successful or not. But just in the past few years, we've seen some of the biggest box office failures in history, from Black Adam to The Flash to Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. But the most embarrassing one, the worst failure they've ever seen, was actually Blue Beetle. Warner Brothers suffers record-breaking box office losses from DC movies, and the worst of the worst, the record for the worst performing movie in the history of the DCEU belongs to Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle ends theatrical run with a disappointing DCEU record. So weird that when you decide to take a franchise that's already suffering a little bit and go all in on identity politics, and in fact go and mock fans who are critical of what you're doing with the advertising, it might not work out very well for you. And in the case of Blue Beetle, it was an absolute disaster. Blue Beetle ends theatrical run as lowest grossing DCEU movie at the global box office ever in history. This is from Collider, and funny enough, they're even still making excuses about how bad the weather was opening weekend. That's still an excuse they're trying to use. Guess what? If the weather was bad the opening weekend, those people that really desperately wanted to go, they can go the next weekend. I'm not sure if you understand that, but it's still some of the excuses that are being rolled out about the failures of this movie. Blue Beetle, one of the concluding movies of the DCEU. We still have Aquaman 2 left. That's also probably going to be a nightmare. Kicked off with a lackluster start at the box office. However, due to favorable critical reception, there was interest that Jaime Reyes' adventure could somehow manage to renew audience interest in the franchise. But no, that did not happen. Here we go. The entire history of the DCEU. Here's, Aquaman, 2018, over $1 billion. Nothing else was able to hit $1 billion. We have to go all the way down to the bottom, right? Below The Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman 1984, which, by the way, both released during the COVID pandemic when theaters weren't fully open. I think Wonder Woman is only in like 1,800 screens or something like that. Still managed to outgross Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle all the way at the bottom, $128 million. And of course, that production budget of $120 million, it basically equaled that. Unfortunately, they only get to keep about half the money from the box office. And this production budget number doesn't even include the marketing budget, which maybe at the lowest possible point could be about $50 million. That's the lowest it could possibly theoretically be. It's probably a little bit higher than that. What a massive, catastrophic failure for DC with Blue Beetle. And the reason I was so personally invested in this was because of the director, Angel Manuel Soto himself, the guy whose tweets are still protected after it was discovered that he actually wished death on the President of the United States, called Puerto Rico a slave colony, hates Americans, hates Republicans, wants Donald Trump to be killed, things like this. This is the dude. What did he do when people were critical of the Batman as a fascist line at the end of the first trailer they released for this? He decided to attack fans, specifically me. When there was some people that tweeted out a viral clip of me saying how stupid it was to have the Batman as a fascist line in your trailer, what did Angel Manuel Soto do? Well, he celebrated. He laughed at it. He thought it was great that people like me didn't like what he was doing with the movie. My job here is done. And even doubled down on Barack Obama. My job here is done with a mic drop. He was happy that people like me were upset with his movie. Well, guess what? Apparently, there's a lot of people like me out there, Angel Manuel Soto, that think that pushing identity politics in a movie might not be the best way to get people to go there. And that's absolutely what Blue Beetle was. It was about the least creative thing you've seen. You've probably seen a similar movie, a superhero movie, probably 10 times in the past decade. But this time, a heavy-handed dose of identity politics at each and every opportunity. And what did it get you? Complete catastrophic failure. It was a record. It was a record-breaking movie, Angel Manuel Soto, and I would have been somebody rooting for this movie if you hadn't decided to think it was so funny that people like me were upset, that your job here is done by pissing off fans like me. Because I actually like the character of Blue Beetle. I actually like Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle. I probably own more Blue Beetle comics than 99% of the people that actually went to go see this movie. But you decided that you wanted to celebrate pissing off fans, that you were happy that people were upset with the way you decided to promote this movie. It all blew up and backfired in your face. And now you hold the record for the worst performing DCEU movie in history. Embarrassing failure, but that's what Angel Manuel Soto is, a fucking failure. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.